So tomorrow's my fourth mapping session. Just leading up to that, I thought I'd give you an update as to where I am so far. So I've had one subsequent session that I haven't recorded a video for, and that one actually went really well again. So some big news from that one. With the first mapping session that I did, there were a couple of tests that she did where I was only feeling the sensation of sound. As of mapping session number 3, I'm actually hearing something on all 22 electrodes, which is great. Certainly not a place that I thought I would ever get to, and I think the audiologist was again surprised by how far I've come. So that all went really well. So the intensity levels were brought up again, and the same as what I've had to do previously, where I've worked my way up slowly. Something a little bit different about this session, though, was that we started some speech testing. So what was done there was the audiologist basically had a sheet of pre-prepared statements, and she covered up her mouth and read out one of them, and I needed to identify which one she actually said. So we went through a couple of those, and I scored really well with that. Next thing she did was, again, she covered up her mouth and said the name of some object that was in the room, and I had to guess what that was. And again, did really well with that. Even there, there was still some sort of visual sort of context as to what she was saying. So even though that was a great result, it wasn't really something I was entirely sort of, ready to sort of jump over joy about. But for those that don't know, as part of what I do for work, I'm an audiometrist, so I test people's hearing and fit them with hearing aids. And the clinic I work for in East Melbourne, one of the things that they've done is they've developed this test called the speech perception test. And this test, a lot of work went into that, and it's basically so effective and so accurate that based upon the results of this test alone, it's enough to actually accurately set up a hearing aid. One of the unique things about this test is that there's completely no visual cues whatsoever. So you get a list of 50 words one at a time, and as you hear the word, you need to type it in to the computer. So because this test is so random, even after administering to thousands of clients, we don't even know what word's going to come up next. So it's totally random. There's no visual cues whatsoever. The only thing you've got to go by is the actual word itself. So the other day I thought I'd give this particular test a try. So I turned off my main hearing aid, and I was listening only through the implant. And I actually scored better than I thought I would. Somewhere between about 20 and about 30 or 34% of words I got correctly, which was certainly a much better result than I thought I would ever get. And I think based upon how well I'm going with the speech testing, it's really, I think, changed just my whole perspective to the whole process as well. I mean, leading up to the assessment of the actual surgery itself, there was always this thought in the back of my mind that perhaps it had been left too long, and perhaps the best I would ever only be able to get would be hearing environmental sounds, and I would never ever get to the point that I'd be able to understand speech. So we're now 5 weeks since I've had the surgery, and coming up to my 4th mapping session, so about 3.5 weeks since I was switched on. And I can definitely say that I am hearing a variety of words. There's certain words that I still struggle with a little bit, depending upon the sounds in the words, but I think in such a short period of time, it's pretty good result, I reckon. But look, it's given me a new, sense of determination. So one of the things I've also been doing, I've got about a 40-minute train ride to and from work every day. So during that commute, there's an app I've got for the phone, which is called Angelsound. And how that works is it'll give you a word, and then you've got a choice of 1 to 6 possible options as to what it can be, and you can set up the degree of difficulty, so whether or not there's a lot of difference between the words that it gives you, or whether there's only a little bit of difference. So there's certainly a plan that I can put in place there with making the task itself continuously difficult as time goes on. And look, I'm just taking the approach as if I'm an athlete training for the Olympics, and my training is going to be just continuously saturating myself with listening to people speak, and trying to get better at being able to discern the different sounds of speech. But look, I'm determined. I reckon I can get there, and at the end of the day, if where I am at the moment is the best that I get, well, at least I can honestly say that I'm able to hear from sound from my left ear, which is something I haven't been able to do for such a long time. So looking forward to tomorrow's mapping session. It's going to be a little bit different from there on in. As instead of a week between sessions after this one, my next one's not going to be for another month, and then the next one not for a month after that. So it'll be interesting to see what we do tomorrow and what the next month brings. So that's it for now, and give you an update later.